So, anyways, today this is kind of an interesting narrow focus presentation. I'm calling this 19th century picture clocks. A lot of these have music and automation in them. And kind of, so, just going to ignore this slide here. Stuff like that. So, picture clocks is kind of an interesting, call it niche in the clock collecting. When I got into picture clocks, there's not a lot of information out there. There's not a lot on the internet, not a lot in books. So it's been kind of difficult to do. Picture clocks were around circa 1825 to 1875, and you'll understand why that is. They're believed to originate out of Geneva, Switzerland. But most of them are French and Austrian makers, and I'll explain the differences because those two countries have built picture clocks a lot differently. A lot were done by famous painters and non-clock makers. A lot of them used instruments that they bought from other clock manufacturers. And mostly were custom made, very expensive and probably some purity of gold. A lot were bought by the upper echelon, things within chateaus, in mansions and things like that, or for some of the politicians. They were not these were not just a power worker clock. And they were the star or the epicenter of some of these collections, especially if somebody had like a lot of famous Monets and stuff. The picture clock became kind of their, I call the focus and forte of their whole home because there's something very magical. Just came to life. Most had time strike movements to begin with, but most had more than one gimmick. Most had music as well. A lot had automation, and then they used porcelain watch dials. Faces are all about inch and a half to very most. So, we'll talk, and then most of them had cylinder music player. You can see the footage of that. A lot of them, you see the automation in some of these, can make the level of automation. So, to look at the different types of music clocks and ages and stuff, there was this period of time between cylinder music players, which was like between 1825 and 1875, when a lot of the majority of your music clocks that were produced, a lot of that came out of Switzerland or Austria, obviously, right? Some was Black Forest, but a lot was Switzerland. So the picture clock kind of melded all that together. And then, what like the picture clocks, you got to like paint it, right? So that's really steam. And that makes it hard for me to collect this. I don't like a lot of the things. But a lot of it's basically like painting and painting was either like a famous public gathering. A lot of time I call it like pastoral landscape, which is what the painters call that. And, pastoral landscapes, celebrate the dominion of mankind over nature. So it was basically like, beautiful scene or landscape with, something that the man developed usually had a tower plot. Part of that scene, but it's mostly like farms and stuff. And then a lot of these you'll see have blacksmiths in them. And the reason is, I think, is that this was back when metallurgy was just starting. I mean, very important piece of technology, and so a lot of these have blacksmith cities in them. It's like kind of a big theme here. And then the movements themselves were made by companies like Captain Ferris or Incendium Company, which we'll see. Incendium is a big name in ornate clocks from and stuff like that. So when we talk about picture clocks, what do we mean? Several kinds. Obviously, you guys have probably seen a lot of my point still up. That's on. No. Anyways, so if you look at the upper left, I'm sure a lot of you seen these, or it's like a reverse painted glass, or a bigger clock face and a painting, and it's usually got some weights hanging on it. And then on the top right is a watch movement kind of picture. You've probably seen a lot of those. Two I'm going to talk about are on the bottom, especially the one in the lower right corner. We'll have clock movement kind of painting. I'll talk a little bit about the clock over painting because there's some significance there as well. So European picture clocks, a lot of them have like sloped sides, and we'll notice too that the clock units will also hammer down to match that. And it really doesn't seem to affect the pendulum all that much. The pendulum is still, it's kind of swinging clock right up from the movement. I can see it bringing a little bit of circular error, but for the most part, it doesn't really affect it. So the French use canvas paintings for the most part on theirs. This one went up in the right hand corner of the French one that I restored, and I bought these meeting back in and so they're because it was a canvas painting, you couldn't put holes in it to wind it, so it actually hinged up. So the whole painting hinged up in order to work on the clocks and to wind it. And everything was mounted to the backboard. There's a couple of famous makers, but Javier Garin by far was the most prolific and really produced tons of why his name comes up more than anyone else. Now the Austrians took a little bit different approach. They painted on using tin or iron even, or a wooden board, and they put the winding holes in the front. And that meant that the needle was also mounted to the front, which creates some problems because it's hard to work on unless you take the thing off the wall. I'll show you kind of one of the things that can overcome this problem. You guys have all heard of Peter Meyer. That was the famous maker, but his picture clocks were not the best. But that's a big problem in making. So we're talking about Austrian picture clocks and some of the pros and cons. Next sideways. So this is one I have that's got music and automation in it. Of course, it's a blacksmith scene. And look at here we are. So this is actually sideways. That's actually a blacksmith foundry there. There's a red crystal and it spins around to look like flames. And this is where the first problem is. I can start the pendulum, things not against the wall, and pointer. Look right here, this little metal rod there. You actually push that in and hits the pendulum right. So it starts here. This way you can start clocking, it's hanging on the wall, right? Now the other con of Austrian clocks, I don't see it, but that's just why I zoom this one in here. You'll notice there's the movement star in the front is actually holes. Like one right there, you can see it. Problem is, as soon as you take your movement off the painting to work on it, destroy the paint. A painting restoration on the front, or even it looks ugly like this one here. You see, it's kind of not the same color, so you actually have a painting touch up if you're restoring. So that makes it a little more difficult, but way less fragile than the French ones. It's the oil paintings. Like these things, it's not about working on plots, it's about working on paintings, and I'll show you some of that. So this is some, the movements of these are basically kind of strike, pretty basic, not hard to work on. You see, they all have adjustable leveling. The reason why it's like to bring the face of the clock flush up against the paint, especially with the French ones. You'll notice that the mounting foot is also at an angle. Again, that's because this thing is hanging kind of at an angle. And we talked about Jenny and the company, which you've seen all these ornate clocks. They were the most prolific of all the makers in the world. No, they just make tonnage of candelabra clock sets and the figural sets out there, which everybody's familiar with. Today. And surprisingly enough, they were big suppliers to picture clock makers. So this is kind of a typical what you find inside, and it's obviously French because the canvas comes, hinges up. And this is what's behind it. So you have time strike movement. A lot of times it had the second strike movement, which sometimes I don't fully understand why they added all such strikes. It's kind of confusing, especially if you've got two different striking at different times. It's kind of weird, but I think they just did that because it was cool and a big wow factor. And of course, then they also tied us along the hour, then the music box would go off, they trigger it. And most of these music boxes had multiple songs, so every hour would play a different song. You'll notice there's like a big control rods here. Most of them have this, and so one control rod would be your silent altogether. One would be automatic, so triggered by the clock or not. And then the third one would allow you to stay on the same song or have an automatic switch between different songs on the cylinder box. So nice controls. So here's another one. This is one that I've been trying to get, but this next slide here. So this is one of it. When you open it up, it hinges up, and this one has the time strike movement, it's got a second strike movement, and it's got the current movement, which we're going to talk about, which is called your Angelus strike, which not many people are familiar with the Angelus strike, but it was a big deal back then, and I'll explain why. So, actually, I'm going to get back to I'll cover the Angelus strike in a minute. So, this one here is an interesting one. It's a, see if I can drop my pointer here. So this is a very typical example of one with automation. Typical windmill. It has an angry keeper that pops his head out because doesn't want the children there playing. He's angry about it. It's like that kind of an interesting expression, but it's very typical. Kind of a smaller one. Kind of get an idea of some of the automation of things. We got a lady with an umbrella beating one of the kids. Of course, got to have that. Kind of crazy. There's some people out there again, kids, knock it off out there. Yeah. That's Australian. No, Australian, I'm sorry. Yeah, for sure. So this is another one that is Austrian as well. This one has some glass rods that spin around. So it's got the glass rods that spin around, which make a very like waterfall. It's got, again, it's a blacksmith seam, so you'll see the little fire thing like mine that spins around. There's a duck or a goose right here that's pecking on the ground. You've got, the farriers obviously slinging hammers. So it's got it all. Hey, what? It's on top. So this is the guy at the top. Yeah. This off the ground. There you can see the plane, the black spin plane. Camera's not working right on that. So yeah, it's a variation of being like with the clock over the Pittsburgh clock. And that, and the other interesting thing is, like a lot of these clocks, they have, they put in winding shafts on the sides and put bevel gears so that you can actually wind it from the side and not open it up. So that's the higher end ones, like some of the ultra high end, really nice feature. You'll see some pictures of that as well. slowly. Come on. Just take it so long, they don't decline. Why it's the internet's falling. Well, that's the same one. So this is another one. This is a hobby green. This is another we call it clock over pitch painting. Well, this one here has a ton of automation that you'll see. So you'll see the horse's head move here. You'll see the dog's tail wag. You'll see the guys putting mounting horseshoes on the horse's foot. You'll see blacksmiths over here that are hammering stuff. There's another guy here running the bellows for the foundry furnace. So very like this one here is one of the more famous ones out there. This is what they call music grade. It's on for sale right now at MS Brow, who is a very they're very overpriced antique block dealer. They think their stuff is worth a lot more than it really is. If I told you what they're trying to sell this one for right now, you just like you want me to say it? $88,500. Okay. That's something very interesting about picture clocks is they've held their value. Some of them, especially the higher end ones, have really gone up in price. I haven't seen any price appreciation like I have with other clocks. So keep going up in value for the most part, especially the ones that any kind of music clocks in them and stuff like that, which makes it a little hard to sweat too. So this one here has again 3 movements in it plus the music box. Plus it has another movement here that runs the automation on. Okay, this one is French, and we'll see here in a second. So this one has secondary strike, and I think this one here is the Angeles movement, which we'll talk about in a bit. And then it's obviously got a really nice piece of box in it. So I'm going to play this one here for you. Okay. I actually almost bought almost bought very almost bought watching the other day. No, this is a museum piece. It's only one of the problem. This was making sense. I'll try to production pages that were charging for this. So please follow and the ball. This is funny. I'm actually gonna didn't realize something. I gotta switch to a different PowerPoint because I'm on the I stopped that. Yes, for you. Sorry, I got to skip through a bunch of slides here. It's my
It's worth 10,000-15,000.
One guy want to find an end in the right stuff.
Yeah.
So this is one of the interesting things about these. It's financial strike, not like a purpose kind of strike. If you ever come across these calculated church philosophy that I've never
That's
seen
what I'm
anything
saying.
like
It's fixing.
oh, sorry. Why is
Keep that in mind.
I got, I got closed everything down. I got too many PowerPoints going at once, and it's, I think it's like blocking this thing down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that, boys. There.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect to go back to that.
Yeah.
Strike me back to
Put it up behind that good 15,000.
so yeah, these are very interesting. And Angela strike. So this one,
yeah.
That's the time to strike the movement secondary, and this is the Angela strike. This does something very interesting. This movement only strikes once or twice a day. Does it at 6 a.m., 6 p.m. And it strikes, it's a very interesting strike here. It strikes 3 times in a row. Bong, 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 bong. And then it starts hitting the second bong. Does that like 9 or 10 times. And I believe it's so what it was, very specific to Catholics. It's prayer time is St. Mary prayer. That's what that is. And I believe that 3 in a row is some psalm or verse in the Bible, that number pattern. I got to correlate that. I got that far, but the Angelus blocks are still in like the and stuff like that. But some big Catholic churches have one of these Angelus blocks. They're given to all more prominent Catholic churches. So they never really made it out of the churches. So for us to find these collectors is awful rare. I would suggest anyone in one of these get it. It's worth a lot of money. And it's very striking. Never hear anywhere else. So this is my what I restored and bought in February. And so here I've got here's my time strike, here's the secondary strike, and here's the Angelus movement. So you see like I play that. And here what an Angelus strike sounds like. There you go. So it does that at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. That's an Angelus strike. It's very interesting, and they come up really frequently in picture clocks a lot, and it's crazy. It's outside of picture clocks, the outside of some of those Catholic clocks, they don't exist anywhere else. And most people, I never knew what they were until I started doing our research, and most people have never heard of it. So it's in Europe, it's a big thing. So, this guy showed you that one. So, that one I just showed you, here's some variations on the theme. This one was just at auction last week. Sold for around $6,000. Unfortunately, I didn't give their time. The problem is it's in Europe, which makes it very difficult. This guy over here was a shelf bird, which, believe it or not, these are out there once in a while. It's pretty rare, pretty expensive to find, but basically made a lot of variations on the theme. Now, because he made that one big painting as his reference, right? He couldn't keep copying that painting over and over. Actually, this Javier Green is a very famous photo lithographer. It's on the cutting edge of lithography technology. And so a lot of this is on cardboard or hardboard, whatever, and it's amazing how it stood up to 150 years. Really is amazing. And plus all the little action figures and stuff, by putting them on a piece of cardboard makes it a lot easier. You couldn't do that with canvas. But and so a lot of different variations in the themes, which obviously is top seller. And again, most people couldn't afford that clock over painting, so they said this is kind of a plan out there. So again, I'm so close to kind of. Now the problem is with auctions, like 30% fees now, which is crazy. And then if I got to ship it from Europe, I mean, $1,200 and up by the time they build a box for it. Massive box, lots of have. And I'm going to show you some of what I think is stories and what happens when you ship them. It's pretty crazy. So this one here is kind of one of my favorite. This one just had one come up similar to an auction as well, but again, I got priced out, which they wanted a lot of money for it. A lot of people went after it. But this one here, that's alternate sorry, this one here is it's got so much going on. It's got a train moves across the bridge. The boats float up and down and move in the sea. It's got horse and carriage coming across this bridge here, and more people walking. It's got tons of automation in it. So I'm going to put that for you next. Very cool. And it's just walking the ocean. Another one that I got pretty hands on. So this one here is really wild music only clock, no automation, but it's got 70 bits, all strikes, and 13 gongs, and 2 music players. It's crazy. And this one was the most expensive one I've ever seen sell. It was north of 100 things. But this one is a really nice example. And it's in a This one's been sold off a few years ago to a private collector. Actually, I've heard this went into a museum somewhere in Europe.
Have you ever wished for your favorite painting to come to life? Well, this charming scene does just that in the most extraordinary way. A one-of-a-kind work of art, this painting brings together horological skill, complex musical movements, and the tradition of landscape fine art to create a truly awe-inspiring musical masterpiece. Known as a musical picture clock, the work hides its intricate mechanism behind an expertly rendered oil painting. As the clock tower tells accurate time, and the jovial people march along the lakefront, seemingly to the music heard from within the painting, a complex set of musical movements create an incredible array of songs. Among the 16 tunes played are God Save the Queen, La Marseillaise, and an air from Il Trovatore. Within the body of the picture frame is a 3-train clock movement and 7 separate clockwork motors, of which 6 have double bones, for a total of 13 bars, a remarkable number for a musical picture frame. The larger of the 2 musical movements boasts a 13-inch cylinder and plays 12 different songs, 2 at each turn. The smaller, with its 8-inch cylinder, plays 4 different tunes, each is wound from the bottom of the house through elongated key shafts. In terms of both mechanics and aesthetics, it is a one of a kind in every aspect. With the finest examples, which can be seen at the Clock Museum in Vienna and the Museum of History in Bern, lack the complicated movements and complexity of this mechanism. It is truly a masterpiece of design.
Pretty crazy. We don't ever see that many fits in the clock. Train.
Discover a world of luxury at MS. Have you ever lived?
Yeah. Yeah, that's all. Well, one of them's Angeles. And then the other ones, who knows, striking at different times, different events, or yeah, I never fully understood why. And part of me, my theory is that they were just going overboard. Like the customers thought of this. Oh, I want all the options. And, and it's just give it to me. No, it's all yeah. It's just insane. Like what could you possibly do with all those movements? And I don't know if it's just that. Obviously somebody who's manufacturing just strike heavy movements too. One of these that's all the OEM. These guys weren't building anything. It's all they were painters. So I think it's kind of crazy. So this guy here, this is kind of the grand finale. You'll see why. So this one here is in the Museum of, it's in Austria, Belgium, or the Belgian Museum, and it's had a lot of restorations done. It was, slide. So it was made in around 1823. They know that. They know that there's 3 makers. It took them 2 years to build, painting and things, and they did build their own movements on this. And it has just a ton of automation they can see. It's the craziest one I've seen. The automation includes, the windmills turning, 2 children playing cup and ball, a harpist violinist playing, you can see in this scene. And then the violinist also taps his foot. And it's got boats all over the place. It's got horse and foot traffic on the bridge. It's even got somebody throwing a fishing rod in the water. It's pretty crazy. And so, yeah, and then the other interesting thing is it's got 3 tower clock movements, not just 1, but 3. And the middle one here is actually the time and strike movement that controls the whole show. And then these 2 here are actually watch movements. You've got clock and watch movements in one part. Plus you got, and the other thing that's really interesting is that this picture is actually very accurate painting of the scene in Austria in the 1820s. It's very, very accurate. And this city still exists. These power clocks still exist like this, but a lot of these foreground burned to the ground. They had a pretty major fire there that's like most of the city out, but they're extremely realistic. And so, and the interesting thing is they don't know who these three makers were. They know there were three. I know who one of them is. His name was Charles Leptic Hoffmeister, who was very famous. And I found a derivative of this picture clock in one of my books called Music Components for Some Reactions in the Millennium Man. Sorry, skipping through. So, anyways, this is the fact. So here's that main time strike unit we're talking about. And then here's one of the watch. So here's the main movement control in the show. Here's a watch movement. It's the other watch movement, tower clock. And so watch movements are actually on springs. And so they've got a spring that wraps around the winding barrel. Pull on the string to wind. Same thing when the time to strike, you actually wind it on the side. Some strings here. And then obviously that's the music clocks there. This movement right here is for the custom movement that walk going on, and then the main automation movement. And along from the sides, you see the winding arbor they put on all over the side of the piece. Since this thing was obviously not much against the wall, you can't get to the back of this thing. And then all that foot traffic, this is the mechanism that controls all the foot traffic on the bridge. You can see this one here controls the boats. And then the kids are playing cup and ball to see it's right here where they pull a ball back and forth on this arc right here. So that's for you. And then the harpist and violinist is somewhere down here, but you see a lot of springs, a lot of complicated automation on this one. I'm going to bypass this one. So, I'm going to show you this thing in full automation here. I got to go to 10 minutes and 15 seconds. This is my time. Hold on. Sorry, it's in Austrian too. That's it.
Zeit um 18:30. Der Titel kann man sehr schön nachvollziehen, wenn man sich die Umfahrtsbrücke anschaut,
Just gonna play it here
wenn
in a
man sich
second.
das Service anguckt und die Wiederwahl anlegt. Aber es ist nicht nur ein auffallend ist, dass hier verschiedene Wege aus Metall stehen und dass viele der Figuren aufgesetzt sind und sich bewegen. Wenn man sich die ganze Sache anschaut, dann entdeckt man erst, was für eine Mechanik
There it goes back.
unser Bild gehört in die Produktion am Bildung, die für Norddeutschland gar nicht so.
I see like 4 where
Und in der Schweiz, Deutschland gab es das auch mal.
stop talking.
Und doch.
Huh? All right, give it a second. We'll start playing with that. Here we are. You can see the,
Was wir gefunden haben, war ganz
that was the original shape that they
die
got.
Metallbleche Büro. Uhren hatten teilweise keine Zifferblätter und keine Zeilen mehr.
We'll go here in a
Die
second.
Mechanik ging leider nicht und einiges war kaum herausgekommen und musste festgestellt werden. Wir haben einen Arbeitsteil gemacht, der Gemäldemuseum des Museums Spielstelle einer Kartenspielerin zu entwickelt werden und später dann Wasserfarben, die uns verwendet haben. Und den ganzen Bereich der Mechanik und des Spiegelkraftdatenwerkes haben wir dann an absolut.
We are restoring the automation. I wish I could see the time. Okay.
Besonderheit ist nur, wenn du stellst, ebenfalls auf Kompensation waren. Insgesamt 13 Teile, die Werke gefeuert werden. Da war ich auf unterschiedlichen Zeiten. Beide kleinen Werke sind Uhrwerke, die schon deutlich früher als die Entstehung des Uhrenbildes in England
It's a winding string around the watch. How they wind it up. There you go. There's a nice picture of it. Isn't that cool?
der zentrale Titel dieses Werk berichten, dass die Flüge der Uhren der Schiffe anfallen. Des Weiteren ist neben dem Spielwerk ein besonderes Antriebswerk für die Musikanten und zusätzlich auf der linken Seite die Bewegung der Bäckerspieler, die ebenfalls vom zentralen Werk gesteuert werden.
There you go. But they're playing the cup of them all. Isn't that a cool mechanism?
Das Hauptwerk, wiederum auch noch ein Schlagwerk beinhaltet, hat erst und die anderen Werke Steuerung, aber nicht mehr vorhanden. Es wurde auch nicht unterschieden.
There you go. There's tapping his foot. There's the harpist playing. There's violinist playing. Kind of amazing, all that automation, all plates. That's it. That's what I wanted to show you guys. It's kind of fun. So, yeah, I've been kind of restoring these things, and it's really about restoring painting. It's not about working on blocks. It's pretty complicated to restore other things, but it's kind of my neat thing. When I did a big presentation in the chapter, and it takes like an hour to show all that, all of the stuff you got to take care of these things. So, if you ever see one, get one. They're a lot of fun, and make sure you got a lot of wall space. These things gobble up wall space. I know that for a fact. So, all my family pictures had to come down. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.